Bonjour! In this video, I wanted to do something a little bit different than what we've done as we start Chapitre 4. I'm looking at Leçon 1, Paroles. This is the very first lesson of this chapter, and I just kind of wanted to go over some of the things in the book. So you'll see on this first page, in context, they give you a lot of the prepositions de lieu. And so these are some of our prepositions that we use quite often in French. And if you look, they give you a chart that is labeled Les prépositions de lieu. And you'll notice there are different ones. First here, we'll see if I can point to them as I'm looking through the viewfinder here. We have these first ones, dans, entre, chez. And these are words all by themselves. And then, of course, they give you a translation. We also have some that have additional prepositions. There's more than one, like à côté de, en face de. And this de is going to be important because as we learned in the last chapter, that de is going to change depending on what comes after it. If it would be a de là, a du, a de, or a de with an L apostrophe. So it depends on what comes after it as to whether that de remains a de or whether it changes into something else. Then, of course, we have devant and derrière, which are opposites, sur and sous, which are opposites. And then, pardon the glare on my book, hopefully you can see it. It says à gauche de, right, is the opposite of à droite de. And, of course, we have près de and loin de. So, again, with these two sections here, we have that de at the end, and that is going to change depending on what comes after it. And we'll see some examples of that. And then, of course, we have the last two, par and par terre. So if we come over to the previous page, you're going to see some examples. Justin est dans le parc, entre la banque et l'arbre. Okay, so we're just using the preposition within our sentences there, no changes. But if we look at our next one, we see that preposition, loin de. But you're going to notice in this example that that de is no longer the de that we saw in the list that we'd previously looked at. So now we have Clarisse est dans sa voiture, loin du parc. And that du is the result of that de. And if you remember in the last chapter, we said when we had a de, and then we would have something like le. Like in this example, we had le parc. The French are not going to say de le, okay, because it's a little bit more difficult to pronounce. Okay, we like to swallow some of our words. So we're going to change that de le, and we're going to make it du. So that's why in here, in our example, we see loin du parc, because that le forced the de to become du. Now, if we look at our next example here, maintenant, elle est en face de. So again, we have a preposition that has this de at the end, but we'll notice that the next word is L with the apostrophe, l'université. So we're going to keep the de, because when we have an L and an apostrophe after it, the de does not change. But then again, we see with près de, it's going to become près du parc. Again, because we don't want the de, le. And as you go through these, you'll notice that, again, here we have Justin est devant la voiture. We don't have to worry about a de. We have Clarisse est à côté de la voiture. And this time we have la voiture, which is feminine. So that la does not force the de to change. So we're going to have de la voiture. And then, of course, Justin est sur la voiture. Et Justin pousse la voiture. Il est derrière la voiture. Et finalement, Clarisse est sur la voiture. Justin est à gauche de la voiture. So again, you're going to see, if I could get there, de la because we have a feminine word again. So we're not going to change the de. And then we have les outils sont par terre à droite de la voiture. So they're trying to show you a mix here. So when we have those prepositional phrases that end with the de, like à côté de, en face de, à gauche de, à droite de, près de, loin de, all those de's we're going to want to take into account. Is it de le? And we're going to change it to du. Is it a de la? And it just remains the same. Is it a de L apostrophe? Because there's a vowel in the word next to it. And then, of course, there could also be de, because there was a de les. So you just some notes of what you may want to pay attention to when you're looking at these prepositions and when you're working through the exercises. Just being conscientious of that, because that's an important difference between some of the prepositions and the other ones that do not have that de. I hope this video was helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions. Au revoir.